Hello, and welcome to our no-code, low-code tech career discussion. We have several people here who are going to talk to you about their careers and paths to their current career. My name is Julie Walker. I am the career advisor and alumni relations coordinator for the School of Information Studies at UW-M. And I'm excited to have this opportunity to talk with these professionals and actually one of our alums as well. So Dave, if you would like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your career path and what you do now.
Sure, absolutely. Hey everybody, my name is David Blechl. I work at Northwestern Mutual currently as a design lead in our innovation space. And so really what that means is helping the rest of Northwestern Mutual innovate and doing a lot of the software design, the look and feel of it, some of the research that goes on. And my background, I studied in school, learning a little bit about how software works, but started out helping with implementations at a tech company, and then moved my way over into eventually working with software, and then ultimately finding a home in the design space.
Brooke, how about you?
Hi, I'm Brooke Schoenherr. I work for the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm part of their IT team as their technology program manager. I have a background in telecommunications management and training and development with a bachelor's in marketing, as well as my master's degree finishing up this fall in business analytics at UW-Milwaukee. So my role, I communicate with every part of our department. I focus on our B2C channel, just on digital experiences and making sure that our guests have the best possible experience coming into our arena on the digital side.
And Kat, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, my name is Kuester. I'm a project manager at Concurrency. I am actually an alumni of UW-Milwaukee and a pretty fresh graduate. I graduated last year in December. So I've been at Concurrency for about 11 months now. Primarily, I am a Scrum Master in that project manager role. I help manage implementations of pretty much all sizes, and I run that daily Scrum cadence with development teams as well as customers, and I help manage that change and bring customers to their desired solutions. So that's kind of my day-to-day.
Great. So what makes this group unique is that they all work in IT, but none of them do coding on a regular basis. They've all stated that they know how to code, but that isn't really their primary role in IT. So with that in mind, tell us a little bit about kind of your day-to-day or weekly functions of what your job looks like. Dave, you want to start?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So typically what my day-to-day looks like is I'm working with teams. We're running experiments that last anywhere from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, exploring a part of a business or an opportunity or trend that's happening that Northwestern Mutual might be interested in. So I'm working with an engineer who's doing some of the coding. I'm working with a product manager who's overseeing the project itself. And we're conducting research, talking to people who are in this space about what needs they have. And then we're creating prototypes of what the interface would look like and testing those out, seeing what works, what doesn't work, and ultimately trying to build towards something that would be useful for people in the area that we're investigating.
Okay, thank you. Kat, how about you?
Yeah, on the day-to-day, I am, communicating with my team through stand-ups and tracking project budgets and managing client expectations, showcasing, what our sprint outputs look like, and communicating with our team so that we can just move through sprint work and sprint execution to get to the desired solution. So it's a lot of people managing as well as some, numbers in there, and just managing and removing impediments as they come up in our project lifecycle. So it's almost never the same, but it's always interesting.
And Brooke, your day-to-day activities?
Very similar to Kat. My days are never the same. Every day is very interesting. I work with every team across the organization, which makes it really fun because I get to talk to new faces. I get to know different people. And I just get to know about their roles and what happens within their teams to see how we in IT can help their situations and help them and just be a resource for them. I like to do a lot of research and find different companies that may be able to help us internally, help our customer experience, and help our teams in general. So it's a lot of calls that I participate in. I create pilot programs for us to go through. I go to the events and the games. I help out in other portions of IT. If some of our network engineers need some help, user support is also on my day-to-day. So every day is a little bit different.
Sounds that way. But the common theme seems you all have to do a lot of communication and teamwork, it sounds like. And so what kind of, for someone who's interested in a non-coding type of career, what kind of things really help you be successful? Both whether it was something you've learned in school or something that you've gained along the way. Brooke, we'll start with you.
I would say it's being comfortable with being uncomfortable, getting to know absolutely everybody. I was a very shy person coming out of school, and I would not be the person to go up to just any random person and just talk to them. And being in my role, I go up to the new sales associate, I go up to the new VP or anybody, and I just try to find the best way to make a partnership and a relationship with them to get to know how I can help them better.
Great. Dave, what about you?
Yeah, I would just say one thing that I've definitely learned is that everyone in technology is learning. So I'm using tools that didn't exist a couple of years ago. So I would just highly encourage people, if you, when you start the journey of learning wherever you're at, pretty soon within a year or two, you're going to be using the tools that everybody else is learning at the same time. And so don't be intimidated by people who have already been in this role or working in this industry. It's a very approachable space because things move so quickly that stuff that existed 10 years ago, people maybe were learning something in school or using a certain technology, that's not a thing anymore. So if you're interested in how people work and understanding people, I like to say that for me, a good designer is somebody who's a good gift giver. If you've been recognized as somebody who nails it for a birthday or some other celebration and the person just lights up, it's probably a good fit for you. So if you're interested in how people think, psychology, might be a little bit interested in art, those things make a great designer.
Great. And Kat?
Yeah, to piggyback off of what Brooke said, right? You don't know what you don't know. So you kind of have to make sure that you're not afraid of asking the tough questions, because in my experience here at Concurrency and with clients, is the only like bad question is the question you don't ask, because people are really willing to communicate with you as long as like, you know, that information transfer is made, right? We want to make sure that the solution that the people leave with is what they want. And the way we get there is asking some of the tough questions. So don't be afraid to jump in, you know, and be open to jumping in and talking to your coworkers, because they're the people that are going to be able to help you behind the scenes. And it's something that like I had to learn kind of on the fly, but it's something that I'm going to take with me for the rest of my career. So that's my best advice, I guess, when you start out.
Okay, thanks. So sort of in line with that, because I know the people viewing this are maybe not in school or thinking about school, or they're upskilling. So what types of things can a person do to get comfortable and put themselves out there for a career like you have? Do you have some suggestions? I mean, obviously there's internships, but you know, not everyone can do, you know, 8 or 12 or semester long internships. What kind of other things would you suggest?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
oh, me? Okay, yeah. I mean, practice, right? Even if you're, you know, I know we were talking about low code, right? What do people who want to be coders do? they code and they practice, right? Practice speaking to people, right? Even if it's just like a barista or something, you know, try to start up a conversation, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because when you meet new people, it's never super easy. You got to break the ice. So, you know, practicing that, practicing, you know, public speaking and getting really comfortable with that is really the key, because it'll definitely make you feel better during your calls, and it'll also instill that confidence in everybody you're working with, because you feel, or at least you look comfortable.
Great. Dave, anything to add?
Yeah, I would just say on the design side, as you're starting to explore opportunities that are out there, one of the typical things you'll see is interviewing may require a portfolio, and that can be really intimidating to people. But what I would say is, even if you don't have practical on-the-job experience in some of that design areas, you can create something pretty easily. There's a lot of tools that are out there to build a website from a template that'll do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And even if you haven't worked on a project to design a website, there's ways where you can maybe pick a favorite website that you have, or a website that you don't like that you feel could improve, and go through the process. There's tools that are out there. You can use LinkedIn Learning, Udemy, YouTube. There's a variety of channels where you can learn about UX design. Take those principles and apply them to a website that you use or are familiar with. Test out the changes that you made. And then many of the design tools themselves are free to use, like Figma or Adobe XD or Sketch. All of those are accessible and able to be downloaded, and you can use those for free. So all of that tooling is available to you for free or very little cost to get started, and you can start building out what is a fake portfolio, even if you're not in that role. But if you can show how you think through things, that will be what you need to move and progress further in the interview process.
That's great. Brooke, anything you want to add?
I would add to network and get involved. There are so many things in Milwaukee, from volunteer opportunities, even things outside of the tech space, but the things that even technical people come in and then you start to meet different people and have those conversations. I never thought of myself in a tech role, and it fell into my lap at some point because I talked to the right person and I fell in love with it. So you never know who you're going to meet, but just by networking with different people and trying new things, being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah. So what types of things, is there something in particular you can think of that you know now that you wish you'd have known, but about being in the tech field? Brooke, anything for you?
There is nothing that you cannot learn if you are willing to learn it. As long as you are open-minded. I went into, I think it was 2 semesters ago of school thinking that I would never know how to code. And now I've gone through coding in multiple different programs. There are all of these different things. Tech is something that is constantly growing and it's evolving, and you will never know absolutely everything. So you just have to constantly be willing to learn those different things. And if you're willing to learn it, you will be able to go as far as you want to.
That's a great answer. Kat, anything to add?
I mean, you hit it on the head, Brooke, but that's really true, right? You never want to stop learning how to do things. Look for those opportunities. They're in pretty much everywhere. But people who are good at their job like to teach you how to be good at your job. So really start communicating like with you know, these network events. Start finding mentors that are in the field you want to be in, and pick their brain, right? Ask them how they got to where they are. They will tell you, and they'll definitely give you a lot of resources on how to get you, you know, your foot in the door, to get where they are, where you want to be. So definitely use what's around you. I know from experience, UW has a ton of, you know, great mentor people who are willing to mentor you as well. So you might not have to look very far. Just start those conversations.
And Dave, anything to throw in there?
I really appreciate what was already shared. I think as an introvert, the idea of networking was a little bit of a scary thing to me, to think about showing up to an event, not necessarily knowing anybody. you can grab a friend and bring them along. That makes it a little bit more approachable. And I would just say engage with the person afterwards who maybe gave a talk, ask them a question or two, ask them if you could maybe meet up virtually or grab coffee at some point and ask them a little bit more about their career. It really doesn't need to be too intimidating. And the people that are there, the people that are presenting, want to engage with the audience. They'll be more than happy to talk with you, give you some tips, and it's really easy to be able to connect up on LinkedIn or some other social media account and continue the conversation.
So true. People like to talk about themselves and what they do, and they're usually more than willing to share that. And I think people generally like to see, people be successful. And if they can play a role in that, then all the better. So I love that you all mentioned that. So where do you see things kind of going in your particular areas? I mean, what you do now. What kind of things would you like to be doing, or do you see that, might be phasing out and something is replacing it? Dave, you want to start us?
Sure. So I think I was just doing some quick research. I know there's a lot of opportunities in the Milwaukee area for design, and especially as companies start hiring remote and you can still work out of the Milwaukee area. For LinkedIn 2021, it's the number 13 on its top 15 in-demand jobs. So UX design is not going anywhere anytime soon. I think what's interesting is a lot of people might think that they need to have some sort of graphic design or art background to do this thing. And we're starting to move into a space where we have our Alexas and voice apps, and there's less and less of actually an interface associated with that. And even the things that do have interfaces are using what's called design systems, where a lot of the components, the buttons, are all things that you can pull from a library. And so really it's about assembling the pieces and knowing how they go together. And it's a little bit less, you still need the people with the graphic design background to create some of those things. But the majority of people are going to just be consuming those and not actually needing to create them. So if you like to think about how people work and talk with people, and a term that gets thrown around a lot is empathy, like just being a good listener, understanding where people are coming from. It's something that you can use, and it's approachable. So those are a couple of ways that I see the design field starting to move in these recent years.
Kat, what about in your role? Do you see any changes coming?
Yeah, I mean, project managers are very in demand, right? There's a lot of new roles opening up, even at that associate level, right? That are right out of college or minimal experience, right? Companies nowadays, what I'm seeing as just like a trend in general is that they like to invest in people, because if you give someone that shot, right? Odds are they're going to grow, and they want to see you grow. So as you start to grow in your career path, you become valuable to your company, right? So don't be afraid to apply for those positions, even if you don't have all of the practical experience. A lot of companies will work with you to get that experience, right? Because they want to invest in you so that later down the line, you are this larger asset to their company. So everyone sees like these entries or job postings that seem a little bit intimidating because the requirements are quite long and they seem, kind of dense, right? But if you read through them, a lot of them are soft skills, right? Soft skills are very important. The more you can practice them, the better. Hard skills can be taught. Soft skills have to be nurtured. So a lot of places will help nurture those in you. So just take the chance and apply, even though you think you might not get it.
Great. And Brooke, any final thoughts?
Very similar to Kat is that project management, program management, it's not going anywhere. Everybody needs communication, and that's exactly what our roles are. We help facilitate that communication and make sure that the right hand is talking to the left hand, and make sure that two departments aren't using two conflicting things, creating operational efficiency and making sure that the organization is spending their money wisely and efficiently. So project management, it's something to get into and grow. And there are so many different places that you can take it. I mean, I'm going to be pursuing my project management professional certification, which takes it to another level. Kat was talking about Scrum and all of those different things that you can learn. And you start at that entry-level position and just keep going and getting that experience.
That sounds great. So, well, I want to just say thank you to everyone. I think, you really gave us a lot of food for thought, and I think we're super encouraging, about that there is a way out there to land a career in an IT field, and you don't have to be an expert in everything. So I think that's really valuable information. I just want to thank all of you for sharing your thoughts and your time with us. And I wish you all the best in luck in your current careers and whatever changes come upon you. So thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.